This is chapter 8, Natyakanda, part 2. Ye dravye janina prabhura purva prita sabalayana sale prabhura vikshara nivita. Everyone that came to Puri to meet with Caitanya Mahaprabhu, the Kambira, they brought the Lord's favorite foodstuffs to offer to him. When you go to see the Lord, or devotees, you shouldn't go empty-handed. So they all brought his favorite foods. So I guess even sannyasis can have favorite foods. Because he's a sannyasi, and he has favorite foods. So Prabhu, Bhiksha. Sarvapate sankirtana karite ailena pavitra karya sarvapate. To devotees that walked from Navadvip, West Bengal, to Orissa, to Jagannath Puri, they performed sankirtan throughout the journey, and they thus purified all the places that they passed through on their way to Puri. So this is what devotees do. Whenever they go somewhere, they chant the name of the Lord. Devotees perform sankirtan throughout the journey and purify the places along the way. This is, I guess, been a tradition since hundreds of years in spiritual movements, in India especially. All over India, in the last 500 years, we have Tukaram, and we have Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and various saints and holy people. What's the person in Gujarat? Narasingha Mehta. Is there something, anybody like that? In Gujarat, there was some saint from 500 years ago. Yeah? Narasingha Mehta, something like that. And he was a devotional person. And all these devotees, they all engaged in, and Guru Nanak also, of the Sikhs, they all engaged in Nam-Sankirtan. And if you read the Granth Sahib of Guru Gobind Singh, is that right?
Guru Gobind Singh.
Guru Gobind Singh. He has many bhajans in there, like this kind of similar, Krishna Murari and Narayan. Do you know any of them? But I've heard some of my friends that were Sikhs and became Hare Krishnas. They told me that there's many Nam Kirtans. So this is when the devotees move, they chant the holy name of the Lord with kartal, mridanga, or clap their hands. And the time goes very fast, because chanting in Sankirtan is transcendental. One actually enters the spiritual domain. He doesn't understand much about time and space. I remember many times traveling Sankirtan with a group of, traveling book distribution, let's say, in a van with a group of devotees, and we're going all night somewhere, long way, and we decided to have a kirtan. Many times, and we're having a kirtan, we're chanting Hare Krishna. We don't even know how many hours went by. We left LA, and we left San Francisco before we knew it, we were in LA. It was like 8 hours car ride or something. I said, oh, we're there already. Because everyone was just focused on the holy name and taking turns leading, and wasn't really anything to see outside the windows, so everyone closed their windows or their eyes and meditated on the names and whatever else they could collect from their hearts. And space and time didn't really exist. It's a phenomenon many people have experienced. Even mundane people, sometimes they talk all the time, they don't realize where they are. So this is very inspiring. There's nothing, everything we're doing is sanctioned. It's the parampara of activities, taking prasad with devotees, chanting in congregation, chanting in Sankirtan as we're traveling from place to place. They were walking for 1 month from Navadvip, and so they passed the space and time by performing Sankirtan along the way. And they relished it, they enjoyed it, it occupied their minds and hearts, and they didn't feel any difficulty of the journey. I didn't feel the passage of time or space, any fatigue. Prabhupada says you can chant 24 hours Krishna's name and never get tired. But if you take someone's name of this material world, Sunil, I say, alright, now chant this name, Sunil. Chant Sunil Gupta for 2 hours. Sunil Gupta, Sunil Gupta. It's like, you can't do it. It'll become tasteless and unattractive because it's material. It has a limitation, has satiation point. You can only hear so much of a mundane thing or eat so much of a mundane thing. Limitation. But Krishna's name is transcendental. So you can go on and on and on and chant Krishna's name, never reach the end of it, because every time you chant Krishna's name, it's a new experience. A new Krishna's name is ever fresh, as he is ever fresh. Even when people see visually with their eyes, they have darshan with Krishna. The liberated souls, the mukta jivas, the Mahapurushas, liberated souls, they have the power of tapasya and the power of devotion, purity, they can have darshan of God. And when they see God, either his eternal servants and associates or the liberated practitioners of devotion, liberated souls, mukta, jivas, they remark, everyone remarks, that as we look at Krishna, he changes from moment to moment. Looks more and more interesting, more and more attractive. We can't reach the end of Krishna. He's fathomless and endless. He has endless beauty and endless variety, Vidagda Madhav, endless cleverness and endless unlimited sweetness. And when someone sees Krishna as darshan, sakshatkar, direct darshan of Bhagavan, Lord Narayan, or Vishnu, Krishna, he experiences a sweetness in his mind that we have some idea of sweetness from tasting some sweet food, or maybe meeting some sweet person who behaves in a very sweet way, or speaks in a very sweet way. Different aspects of the experience in our world of what we call sweetness. But Krishna is such that people they become stunned. Their senses become stunned and they lose the ability, their throat, their voices become choked up. And they try to describe what they're experiencing just by seeing Krishna, what their eyes are experiencing, what their heart is experiencing, what their mind is experiencing, what their nose may be experiencing by smelling Krishna's fragrance. Inconceivable, unfathomable, inestimable, and immeasurable sweetness. Ananta Madhurya, Krishna. Because at every moment it increases. As soon as you try to hold that sweetness and relish it for a moment and become inundated by that experience of Krishna's momentary sweetness, then it expands and changes its form and becomes even more captivating. Say, you smell Krishna, for example, the fragrance of Krishna, and it's the sweetest smell you ever smelled, and then as soon as you try to understand it and analyze it or somehow compare it to any other fragrance you ever smelled, and then again, you go, what's that? Another fragrance comes. And then, oh, it's coming from Krishna. No, there's nothing, what else is here? There's nothing else here. It's in my room. There's not even any flowers in my room. Or like this. So this is the experience of this transcendental name. They can chant every day as they walk hour after hour every day for a whole month, because the name goes on, and freshness and variegatedness and sweetness and satisfaction. Krishna's name. And we do the same thing today. I remember we used to come home from book distribution in Los Angeles airport. And of course, at the end of the day, our so-called Seva day, it's what we would call, a regular person call work day, end of it work day, we call end of a Seva day. Or at least that's seva, because the day of seva never ends. Seva is nitya. You only go from one service to another. But people in this world, they have work and play. They have karma and lila. They have their play, their krida, their kilana. Their play and their karma, their play and their work. But the devotees, they only play. It's all lila. It's all seva. They go from one seva to another seva. And once a newspaper reporter asked Srila Prabhupada, he said, what do your devotees do for recreation? What do they do for chuti, vacation? And Prabhupada's first reply was, my disciples are not, devotees of Krishna are not so fickle. Not so fickle, so chanchal. And they said, no, but I see them on the streets, they're chanting, and they're reading, they're selling your books, or they're studying, or they're doing their prayers, or doing some worship in a temple like priests. Well, what do they do for fun? Like on Saturday off, and Sunday off, well, what do the devotees do for fun? And Prabhupada chuckled to himself, and he said, actually, everything they do is fun. He said, Prabhupada said, I've established a society around the world. It's an international society. And you can rename the society I've started as the International Society for Recreation. Recreation means vacation. Recreate, you take the mess that you make when you go to work, and then you have recreation on the weekend. Your schedule has created such a mess for you after Saturday, working for 6 days. Then on your day off, you try to do recreation. recreation. You try to recreate your time and space to produce some satisfaction. Usually sleep till 10 or 11. That's the first thing. I can sleep. I don't have to get up early and go to work. And then some maybe extra eating and drinking, because you have time on your hands to recover or recuperate from indulgences in either one of these activities. Indulgences and drinking has its side effects, and indulgences and eating have their side effects, but you can recover on Sunday. So Saturday night is party night, universally. Is it not? So every country in the world, in America they don't really work on Saturday, so they're already in the mood. But it's Sunday, people get slightly, Sunday means sober day, so we're a little sober. So this is the point, we come back in the van from book distribution seva, and then we would begin sankirtan seva. And we would sit in the van. We sat in these little trucks called van, and it has a platform, and the books underneath the platform. And all windows all around. We don't have any curtains or black film or anything, because we have nothing to hide. In fact, we rather startle everyone as we move around here and there. It's kind of startling to someone to look and see like 8 men with shaved heads, shiny heads, sitting there going in a van, and maybe you came from Midwest somewhere to visit Disney World and in Los Angeles, and then you've never seen such a thing. And people with eyes were popping out of their head as they saw us go down the freeway, LA or San Diego freeway, back to the temple, pointing, what is that? It's a truck full of Martians. It looks like that. And then, if that's not enough, the visual impact of seeing a shaved head devotee, a tilak in America, then add the audible experience, the ching ching ching, boom boom boom. So, and then not only that, the van is rocking back and forth going down the road. So then people pull up on some traffic light or whatever, and it's summertime. We're right fully into it. We don't know where we are. We're in the kirtan. We don't really care what anything's going on. But sometimes you may open our eyes and look around. People are like looking inside the windows, and they don't know what to make of it. I can remember pulling into petrol stations and kirtan is in full blast. You roll down the window. The guy said, fill it up. The guy said, what? I was driving. And you don't want to tell them to quiet it down because they're just, the boys are going so ecstatic back there. She said, no, I mean, just show $100, this much. And, oh, okay. It's all by sign language. So it fills up the gas, and the kirtan doesn't stop. It's have to tank it on the way down the road. So our journeys across America are from the sankirtan field back to the temple. We're always journeys filled with Harinam Sankirtan. And we were also going to Lord Caitanya. We were leaving the airport to go to the temple to see Lord Caitanya, take darshan Lord Caitanya. So these devotees are so happy because where they're going. If the prospects of your destination create a sensation in your heart, you can be happy on your way there. So we're going to the spiritual world. As Prabhupada would say, it's home. People find that rather odd that Prabhupada had this motto. He said, we're going back home, back to Godhead. People generally say, I'm going home to Delhi, I'm going home to Mumbai, America, Europe. But home is where the heart is, and in the heart is God. So God is the heartland of the soul. God is the heartland of the soul, and we live in that heartland of the soul because we are the soul. And God is a super soul, Paramatma, Atma Paramatma, Jivatma and Paramatma. Vibhu, Chit and Anuchit. So going home is quite a wonderful concept. So the devotees, they were leaving Shrikhanda and Navadvip in West Bengal and East Bengal, and they're all walking in harmony together, singing in harmony the holy names of the Lord, going home to where the Lord is. That's at this time, he's in Jagannath Puri in the form of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, Krishna Balaram. So they're very happy about the prospects, about the destination. If someone's going on a vacation to some exotic, faraway place, Bali or New Zealand or Fiji or something if you're from India, then people may get excited. Generally they feel some excitement. Enthusiasm, excitement, anticipation, happiness, the newness of the experience, what we'll see, what we'll feel. So imagine what a devotee feels like that's going back to the spiritual world. The enthusiasm. All of these things are recommended and advised as positive qualities to have on the journey of spiritual perfection. Utsaha nishtya dharya. It says we should be patient and confident, enthusiastic. But all these qualities automatically come when one is thrilled by the idea of where he's going. This is the prayojan, the culmination, the final point, the ultimate destination, life's final, final destination. Many lifetimes. Bahalam janmanam ante, gyanavan mam prapadyante vasudevam sarvamati samahatmasta durlava. Durlava janama, satsang. Very rare to get this human form of life, and rare yet to go home, back to Godhead. Because home means comfortable place, home means friendly place, home means my relatives. But I often make the phrase, we have our relativities and we have our absoluties. Someone said, oh, I spent the weekend with my relatives. So I said, your relatives are part of your relativities. But we spend the weekend with our absoluties, our absolutives. Absolutives are devotees and with Krishna. So there's the relatives. The relatives are part of the relative plane. Our in-laws. Oftentimes I say in-laws are outlaws. Because outlaw steals our time and our money and maybe our lives. Because our life is our time. Life is measured in time. So if you visit your in-laws and they eat your head, as they say these days, and speak all nonsense and inquire all ridiculous questions. And they've eaten your time, they've actually taken your life, like a thief, like an outlaw, because they prohibited you from hearing about God and speaking about God, because they engaged you in talking about the parivar, uncles so-and-so, and father and mother, etc. So in-laws are outlaws. Outlaw means gunda, dako, thief, nothing personal. These are philosophical points. Because Krishna says, Satatam, in Gita, Krishna says, Satatam kirtiyantamam itada yatantascha drida vrata. Drida vrat, with a very firm vow, a fixed notion, a fixed mind, a pointed, directed life. One should, Satatam kirtiyan, one should always engage in my kirti. Satatam kirti. Kirti means the mahima, the charitra and mahima, the name and fame and glories of God. This is the directive of the Lord, the divine command, Bhagavan Agya. Satatam kirtiyanto mam yatantascha vidam. We should always do that. So when we're prohibited from doing that because of our so-called relativities or relatives, then we feel that we've been robbed. Our time has been stolen. So the in-laws become outlaws. And then, I was at my relative's house. Who is it? Everyone's relative. Relative means that this world of birth and death. There's relative and there's absolute. So there's relatives and relativities. We engage in relativities with our relatives. But with devotees, these are absolutives, and we engage in absoluties and absolute activities, which are Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smarana, hearing, chanting, remembering Krishna. And they purified everybody along the way by that kirtan. Ulase haridwani kare bhaktagan shuniya pavitra vaila tribhuvana jan. The people of the three worlds became purified by hearing the tumultuous vibration of Hari Hari Dwani made by the Bhaktagan, Vaishnava, Sarasana. It was so loud, the ulase, they were great ulas, joy, happiness. Like Uddhav, this person, Uddhav, is a great devotee of the Lord. But the word Uddhav, Vishnu Chakravarti explains, means Uddhava. Uddhava means one who creates a festival. But Uddhav means festival. So he's named Uddhav because wherever he goes, he creates a festival. So when he came from Mathura to Vrindavan, he created a festival for all the Brajavasis that were pining in separation from Krishna. They were crying in separation because Akrura had taken Krishna to Mathura and didn't bring him back. And then after few months, then Uddhava came with some message, some sandesh, some message from Krishna to give to his mother and father, Yashoda, Nanda, and all the gopis. So when Uddhava came, it became a festival. All of Vrindavan became full of festivities. And people were just a new life because he's blue in color. Uddhava has a blue skin tone. And Uddhava is the son of Devabhag. And Devabhag is a brother of Vasudeva. You know, Vasudeva and Devaki. So Vasudeva's brother is Devabhag, and Devabhag's son is Uddhava. So Uddhava is a cousin by that arrangement. He's a cousin of Krishna, older. So he's blue in color, and he likes to wear prasadi kapra, prasadi vesh. He wears the yellow dhoti, pitambara dhoti of Krishna, pitambara chadar. He doesn't wear peacock feather, all these things. But he wears the necklace, the mala, the Vaijayanti mala of Mathuranath. And he came looking so, and he has beautiful long hair also. A very attractive figure. So he came, because most of the rishis, they look like this. So Uddhava came and everyone at first said, oh, has Krishna come back? He promised he would come back. Maybe no, it's not. But just seeing him created a kind of a festive mood in people's hearts. Because if you see someone that looks like someone you love, very similar, then you get a little, initially you're attracted and a little excited. Oh, is that my beloved or is that my dear one? I think so. Oh, no, it's not. It's somebody else. And you contract your rising feelings of ulas upon realizing that it was a mistaken perception that it isn't your beloved, it's somebody else that looks like that. So the gopis and Nanda Baba, they were like that. They, for a few moments, they thought that Krishna had returned for his promise to them. Yashoda never saw Uddhava when he came. That's the irony of his visit. That Krishna sent Uddhava, please visit my mother Yashoda and Nanda Baba and solace them and comfort them with sweet tidings of my activities and my good health and my position here, a secure, peaceful position in Mathura, under the guidance of the king, Ugrasen, who's been installed now after the death of his son, Kans, to rule Mathura district. So, but when he got there, Yashoda was crying and crying and crying. From the day Krishna left Vrindavan with the Krura, Yashoda closed her. She was looking at the chariot go, and she just went after. As soon as she could no longer see the dust raised by the hoofs of the horses carrying that chariot, and in that chariot was Krishna and Balaram being whisked off to Mathura by her uncle Akrura. Then she just closed her eyes at that vision of Krishna's hair, the back of Krishna dusted by the Brajaraj from the hoofs of the horses, and then she closed her eyes and fainted. And they had to drag her back. And then when they went to the Nanda Bhavan, they carried her up the hill to Nandagram. She said, I won't go in that house. This house has no meaning for me. A house without one's child is meaningless. There's no meaning to this house. I'll stay here on the dirt. My memory of my son is sprinkled with this dust. I want to stay here. So that she said when they were taking her inside. And her eyes were closed from then on, and she started crying and crying and crying. So when Nanda Maharaj, Uddhava was speaking with Nanda Maharaj and describing about Krishna and inquiring and whatnot, and trying to preach to Nanda Maharaj. And at one point Nanda Maharaj, with his finger, his index finger, he pointed and says, see, look at my Rani. Look at Yashoda Rani, Rajarani, Rajeshwari. And she was just collapsed on the ground. She hasn't opened her eyes for months. She's just crying, crying. She can't even hear anything you're saying. She can't even see you. So this is about Vatsalya Rati, the parental love of Yashoda and Nanda. It's so intense. And that was just the preliminary teaching that Uddhava got for the Braj Bhakti of the gopis. Because afterwards he was going to meet Radharani and the gopis. When he saw the intensity of the love of Yashoda especially, and also Nanda Maharaj, he realized that his attachment to Krishna, his love of Krishna, was like a sesame seed compared to Mount Meru, like a sesame seed compared to Mount Everest, the Himalayas. It was an insignificant morsel of nothing. His so-called love and feelings of intimacy and friendship for the Lord. So this is Ulas, the Haridwani. They were purifying the whole world with that vibration. Patni putra dasa dasi ganera sahite ailena paranande chaitanya dekhite. The devotees brought their wives. There's a whole family yatra, parivar yatra. As I mentioned the other day, there was about 100 families that came, 100 to 200 families. So that's quite a few people. It's Sometimes they say 50 families, 200 people. Sometimes they say 100 families. Because the children were there, mother and father. Devotees brought their wives, their sons, and servants, and they went in great ecstasy to see Lord Chaitanya. Patni putra dasa dasi gan sahite. They went in great bliss, paranande, to see Lord Chaitanya. Jaistani rahina asi sabeva sakari Saisthana haya nena Sri Vaikuntha Puri. Wherever this yatra of devotees stopped on their way from Bengal to Jagannath Puri, wherever they stopped en route, the place they stopped became like Vaikuntha, Sri Vaikuntha Puri. Savai Mana Krishna Padara Vindeva Vaikuntha Vachamsi
Vaikuntha Gurana.
Vachamsi Vaikuntha Gurana. Wherever they stopped, they stopped walking and stopped their kirtan, and then they started arranging for some sleeping arrangements and taking some prasad, washing some clothes, taking bath in Ganga, etc., some sacred river. And then there'd be more bhajans, Chaitanya Gaur bhajans, Radha Krishna bhajans, and reading from Bhagavatam, Nashta Priyeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. Nityam Bhagavata Sevya. Every day hear the Bhagavatam. So they all sat down together, and Vaitacharya would give Bhagavad class, or maybe Gita class. Tonight's Gita class will be by Srila Vaitacharya. Tomorrow's Bhagavad Gita class will be Sri Nandanacharya. Acha, very good. And on Wednesday, Bhagavad Gita class will be by Srivas Thakur. Then Saturday there'll be bhajans by Nityananda. So you can only imagine the lineup of speakers and kirtan leaders, because they're all traveling together. Sachi, not Sachi, but who's the wife of Sita? Sitana. She will be speaking on the Gopis Viraha, the Viraha Gita. Like this. So that becomes Vaikuntha, because that's what people do in Vaikuntha. Every word in Vaikuntha is a song of praise. In Vaikuntha, every single word that the Vaikuntha Vasis utter or speak is a song of praise of Narayana. Narayana, 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 Radhe. So, every single word is a word of praise of Narayan. Narayan Kirti, Vishnu Yasho, the fame and glories of Vishnu Narayan. And there's dancing. And so now they turn that place into Vaikuntha because they did all the same things. They're glorifying the Lord, engaging in Nam-Kirtan. So that's why Prabhupada said the temples. He said, what are these temples? There's a temple in New York City, there's a temple in Paris, and Luxembourg, and all over the place, in the most far away places from the land of Bharat Bhumi, Dharma Bhumi, Punya Bhumi, Bharat, Varsha. But Prabhupada said they're all Vaikuntha embassies. All the temples, they're actually Vaikuntha embassies. Because the center of the temple life is Lakshmi Narayan in the form, not Lakshmi Narayan, but Radha and Krishna, Sitaram. That's the center of the whole community. And everyone that lives there, the ladies and gentlemen, married and single, they're all focused and centered on the happiness and pleasure of the Thakurji, Radha and Krishna. So that's the spiritual world, harmonious center. Everyone working for the common center. Spiritual communism, Prabhupada called it. Spiritual communism. In the Karl Marx concept of communism, the center is the state, the amorphous, impersonal state. Everyone works for the state, but then, and all the property is owned collectively and communally. There's no caste, it's all one caste, it's all, this little bit I know about it, obviously very little, since you're a Russian person. But Prabhupada presented it something like this. There was party interests. There was the haves and the have-nots, and the rulers and the ruled rulers. So there wasn't a oneness, there wasn't a harmony, because there was duality. You can't have oneness in the presence of duality. And this is a dvanda. This is a world of duality. People have differences. It's a world of differences and duality. But in the spiritual world, it's a world of union, unity. Unity and diversity. This is the idea. Unity and diversity. The unity is that there is a common center and everything is owned by the common center. Ishavasya midam sarvam yat kinchat jagatam jagatyam jagatyam jagatyena tyaktena vajitam vadvyasya magridaha vasisudana. That Krishna, the Isha, the Supreme Controller, is the center of Vishnu-Narayana Krishna. And he's personal, not impersonal. The center is not impersonal. The state is impersonal. But the state of God, the confederate states of God, or the spiritual world, is personal. Because the center is personal. Personal consciousness. Personal consciousness that interacts with every particle of personal consciousness in a personal, intimate, sweet and loving way. That's a very unique state, a very unique center. And that was impossible for the communists to imitate. So Prabhupada said, this is spiritual communism. Everyone, because the center is consciousness, and the supreme consciousness of God. And we are orbiting around that supreme consciousness, like electrons moving around it, what do we call it, the atom, or planets moving around the sun, or whatever, or in our orbit. So therefore there can be unity there, and there's diversity because they're different jivas. The unity is that we're all connected, we're all consciousness, and we're all connected to Krishna, and He interacts with each of us in a personal way. We feel satisfaction, fulfillment, and happiness in that relationship, personal relationship. At the same time, we're individual. So that's the diversity. God is one and different. Achintya Bhed Abheda Tattva. So this is how the spiritual world works. There's one common center, and therefore everybody feels comfortable. That's why it's called home, back to God. Everyone feels appreciated. In the spiritual world, everyone is appreciated. Everyone feels grateful to each other. Everyone works cooperatively and submissively together for a common goal. That is the pleasure of God. Your pleasure is my pleasure, your happiness is my happiness. If I love you, my love is automatically taken care of. Because actually I'm part and parcel of you. So if I love you, I'm actually loving myself, because I am self, I'm Atma, and I'm part of you, the Supreme Self or Supreme Atma. Very simple formula, but difficult for people to understand. So now we will Shuna Shuna Arabhai Mangala Akyan Yahagaya Adideva Shesha Bhagavan. Listen, brothers, Bhai, to these Mangala Akyan, auspicious topics which are glorified by the Supreme Lord, Ananta Shesh, Adidev. And then tomorrow we'll find out about how they arrived in Jagannath Puri. This is the Puri, Jagannath Puri Gamana Leela of the Navadvip Vasis, their journey to Jagannath Puri and their yatra, spiritual journey. They'll be arriving tomorrow, the group will be arriving. Tonight we'll halt in Cuttack, and tomorrow we'll get up at 5 o'clock and walk. And we'll arrive by midday, we'll arrive in Kamalapur. And so everyone should take rest early tonight so we can walk on to Puri tomorrow. Jai Jai Shri Ram.